Hello and welcome to the Resilient Lineage podcast, where we reflect on the past, anticipate the future, and discover what God is up to today. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Milo.
And we have a special episode today.
Yeah, we finished up the Warrior Mindset series.
Yeah.
Which
followed the Tabernacle series. So this is an episode.
It's a standalone.
It's a standalone.
And we hope that this will be an encouragement to you. To take a practical step that will be a massive encouragement to someone.
Yeah.
Because what are we talking about?
We're talking about something that happens in the month of October.
Which is?
And it's Pastor Appreciation Month. So we thought we'd take this as an opportunity to kind of walk through kind of the things that pastors deal with, like behind the scenes. And I feel like those aren't expressed. Like my dad put in some statistics and had me like go through it. And I was actually quite shook that the pastors, right, are typically like have a call to ministry from the Lord to like shepherd his people and to like encourage his people so that they can grow in the unity in the body of Christ. But with that,
in fact,
comes a lot.
Yeah, we got a Bible verse here. Let's read this. Ephesians 4:11 through 13. We kind of put this midway through the podcast, but as we were praying before we started, I thought we should read this at the top.
Yeah, do it.
Ephesians 4:11 through 13 reads, and he gave some, so God gave some to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, and shepherds and teachers. And the word shepherd there means pastor, to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for the building up of the body of Christ until we attain the unity of the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood or personhood, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. So God has specifically identified people to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, another word for pastor, and teachers.
Yeah. And
we want to talk about how do we encourage those folks. So I just looked it up. 1992 is when Clergy Appreciation Month started.
Gotcha. Clergy.
It was called clergy because, some faith traditions would, like at Catholics, they would call their minister a father or a priest, right? I come from a place that would be pastor or, some places it's reverend, whatever it is. So clergy is kind of a good umbrella term. And it was actually at one point in it was part of the national calendar.
Oh.
It was like a nationally recognized day or like emphasis over the course of a month. And so today we're going to talk about that because it's still done. I think back in the 90s, early 2000s, it was emphasized more than what I've seen today. And I think that's a shame. And so we are going to talk about that today on how you can be a source of encouragement to your minister. Now, you may be going like, okay, what do they do? Like why is this important? Why is that a big deal? I mean, if I were somebody who wasn't in ministry, I could see it kind of going like, all right, shouldn't we always be an encouragement? Yes. But I kind of want to we want to kind of look behind the curtain as to what is oftentimes the case in a lot of clergy's life. And there were some statistics that we found about the things that ministers wrestle with, that a lot of it can get washed away if people intentionally encourage. Yeah. If they are a source of just like, Thoughtfulness, yeah. And so we're going to walk through these things. Now, in light of that, I put here, pastoral ministry is hazardous to relational, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. Had you ever thought about it in those terms? But if you look at all the stuff, because you've looked at it, would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to just walk through a bunch of this stuff. Now, if you want to know, if you want to see all this information, you can visit our website, thisresilientsoul.com. You can find this specific episode. If you sign up for our newsletter, there will be a link to all of these statistics. And we would love for you to be able to do that. You can see the information on the screen. You can see the information in the show notes. We'll share a little bit more at the very end about how you can sign up for that stuff. But let's dive in.
Yeah.
Here are things that pastors wrestle with. So we're going to kind of start with the bad news up front, some things, and I'm going to kind of interject my own story, our story as a family into some of this stuff. Because some of these things I very much resonate with. These, I'm like, that hasn't been our story, but I know
of people.
I have buddies of mine, friends of mine that have been through this stuff. Okay, you want to... First one. So for what we're going to do is we're going to kind of talk about categories of things that they wrestle with. Yeah. And I'm going to let you walk through these things.
And then he'll interject.
Yeah. And then I'll interject as needed.
Needed.
Well, I mean, some of it is, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Because I could spend way too much time on each one of these things.
Right.
And we don't want to do that.
Right. Okay.
But I want you to hear these things that pastors wrestle with.
Okay. The first thing pastors wrestle with is loneliness and isolation. So it says 65% of pastors report with chronic loneliness. That's up 42% in the last 10 years, since 2015.
Why do you think that is?
I think like we live also like in a digital age where that's kind of like skyrocketed, and a lot of people would rather have forms of communication online because it's simpler than actually like meeting up with someone. So it just kind of like leaves more room for people to be lonely, I guess. Yeah. Pastors struggle to form deep relationships with their congregation due to their dual role as not only a leader but a friend. And I can see that.
Sure.
Like I mean I know that like there's like a level of which we can hold, even like my youth pastor, like I have him like I view him in a higher regard. And sometimes it's hard to have conversations with him as a friend because I know he has a spiritual impact on me that like I see him as my mentor, but like he has conversations with me like I'm his friend. So he does a really good job at like maintaining both, but
there's a dual role.
Yes. And it's not just their friends. There's a role to be a friend and there's a friend like to be their role model. Yeah. And their leader. Second, only 22% of peer or mentor, they have only 22% of peer or mentor support. And 70% lack a close friend.
So out of 5 pastors that you know, 7 out of 10 don't have a close friend, and only 2 out of 10 have a mentor or peer support. Like, just put that into context. And a lot of this is just driven by, ministers. It's up that we don't have it in our notes, but I wrote a paper and I was wrestling with some of this stuff. And it like in the last, 10, 15 years, the typical stay of a pastor at a church has risen to 10 years. It used to be around 5, and now it's around 10 years. But every 10 years, a minister is leaving a congregation. And that is when they leave that congregation, they are oftentimes leaving a network of support that they've developed to go into another place where they will have to be providing a support of a network of support to others. And so it can be a very, a difficult time. I know for me, this was something I anticipated because I was told about. I had really good mentors and stuff in Bible. So I went to Bible college for 4 years, and then I went to seminary. I've been to seminary twice. That's how often I have to go to seminary.
You're a sinner. Sorry.
I didn't know it was a moral issue. But this is something that when I went to Ashland Theological Seminary, I had a really good mentor, and this was one of the things they talked about quite a bit. They talked a little bit about it in Bible college. Maybe they talked about it more than I anticipated, but and I wasn't listening because I had really good friends in Bible college, so I couldn't understand how this was going to be the case. But I remember that first church I went to, the church was predominantly in their 40s and 50s, age-wise. And when I became the lead pastor, I was 23 years old. And so there was, a handful of couples that were my age in the church, but it was difficult to make friends there. In fact, one person, your mom's told the story several times, so I don't think she'd have a problem telling it. But she's one person, as we were leaving that church, this lady who was around our age came up to your mom and said, "Oh, now that you're leaving, we can be friends." because the impression was prior to this, you were the pastor's wife. And so because of that, there was this role that you played in my life that I didn't consider to be a friend. Which your mom was surprised to hear her say that. Like she didn't really, it was just a very, like in that person's mind, there was this very strong divide. And so consider the fact that there's a good chance, regardless of the demeanor, regardless of how a pastor may present themselves, that they feel lonely and isolated. And in fact, last week I got together with a couple guys and we're talking about starting a men's group. And I told the guys, I was like, hey, if we do this, I want you to know Milo's in the group, not Pastor Milo, not Chaplain Milo. I don't want you guys looking at me through that lens because I don't need another thing in my life that's what I have. I just need a place where I'm Milo. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well.
They're gonna be like, you act the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, I'm not going to be different, but the perceptions and as a result, the expectations can be different. Okay, next.
Second is criticism and rejection. That's our next category. And 40% of pastors face serious conflict monthly over trivial issues. So this can be in a form of criticism, comes from those who lead, that they lead, like the congregation, and then those that follow. And then those that love them and family, because I mean, I can see that like maybe like a new pastor's new to the church, right? And then some of the congregations will be like, that's not what our old pastor did. That's not what's considered right to us. And then that could be discouragement and criticism and very demeaning and not necessarily out of love. Or even mentors could be like, that's not what I think you should be doing. And
or even crueler than that.
Yeah.
Like one time, I had planted a church. We had planted a church in Fishers, Indiana. And it was always a struggle. Planting, if you are part of a church plant, you need to specifically go out of your way to encourage your pastor because church planting is lonely, it's difficult, it's incredibly long hours, it's exhausting. The enemy, I think there's a spiritual warfare that comes along with church planting because the enemy does not want another church started. So it's a very, very difficult thing. So we had been at it for about 5 years. And there was a variety of reasons, and I won't go into all those details right now, but the decision was made to close the church. And as we were sort of on the next week, we were going to be making a vote within the congregation if we should continue or not. I called on my superintendent because the way we structured, you have a bunch of churches, and then we're part of a denomination, and then you have a superintendent that oversees those churches. So I called the superintendent. I said, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what we're doing next week. I just wanted to let you know. And he goes, well, do I need to be there for that? And I was like, well, I'll leave that decision up to you, but here's the significance of what you're doing. He goes, okay, I think I hear you. I think you got it. Let me know what the results are. Got it. So we hold the meeting, have the vote, and the vote is to shut down the church. And there was a specific way we went about making the decision. It was an incredibly hard decision to make. I was exhausted. It was I was broken inside. It wasn't one that I wanted to make. And so I was very, really sad. So make this decision. I call the superintendent. We're letting the church know, hey, this is the decision that's being made. And when I call the superintendent, I go straight to his voicemail. Hey, sir, just want to let you know we held this vote. This is what took place. Here's the information we received. And as a result of that, the decision has been made to shut down the church. Click. I don't know how much time went by, if it was a couple hours or a day. I don't know. But he called me back and it went to my voicemail because I was not in a place to be able to take the call. And when he left the voicemail, he said, Milo, this is Reverend Superintendent so-and-so. I need you to call me right away because this is incredibly disappointing. And I need you to call me right away. And then I think he thought he hung up, but he didn't hang up. And so I heard him talking to somebody else in the car. And he said, did I sound serious enough? I hope he realizes how angry I am with him, because this is completely unacceptable. I didn't know this was going to happen. I hope he knows how angry I am with him, because this is very, very disappointing and not going to look good. And then click.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is sad.
So I took that message because it's on I have the message.
Mm-hmm.
So I played it for my elder team and I was like, hey guys, just FYI, this is coming. And then they were hot because they were a good elder team. Anyway, that superintendent, finally, when I did call him back and he was like, hey, walk me through it. And he was kind of nice. And he's like, hey, walk me through what happened and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I did. I walked him through the process. He's like, wow, I really wish you would have let me know. And I was like, sir, I did let you know. Remember when I called you and you said, don't worry. You said, I got it. Well, this is what happened. And I said, and by the way, your voicemail didn't cut off. I heard everything you said after you left your voicemail. And he says, what do you mean? And so I played back for him what he had said. And he was like, well, I meant to do that. I wanted you to know how upset I am. Yeah, it was. So my point is this: pastors are getting criticism,
not only from the church,
and rejection from all directions.
Yeah.
Right? They're getting it from their church. They're getting it from their potentially denominational leadership. They're getting it, their family. It may be in a place of like, how come you're never home? You spend more time with people than you do with us. Like, they live in this place where they are perpetually disappointing someone. And they're managing disappointment. And so we're sharing these things. The intent here is not to go like, boo-hoo, poor pastors. That's not the intent. The intent is I want to paint a picture of what's actually going on in the interior of a minister's life. So they're wrestling with loneliness and isolation. They're wrestling with criticism and rejection. Yeah. Next.
Depression and mental health. So depression, 70% of pastors battle depression and 18% have contemplated self-harm. That's 20%.
Yeah.
That's 2 in 10 people. Okay. Burnout. 91% experience burnout, with 18% saying that they are fried to a crisp. And then 65% avoid counseling due to cost, stigma, or fear of judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when you saw all of that?
What's funny is, not funny, this is a serious topic, but like burnout, like I've seen you burnt out.
Me?
Yes.
What?
Like emotionally, like from the day where it's like, and it's like, you don't need that in the house. Like you don't, like I know you've experienced something out there that has stretched you that me as your kid doesn't need to like stress you out anymore. Or if you tell me to do something, I'm very quick to be like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do this. Because I know if I don't, then I get burnout dad mode, and it's not cool. Barriers, like I think even in ministry, not only pastors, but spiritual leaders, or like even like leaders that serve in the youth group or serve on worship team, feel like they have this level that they need to be more professional or more spiritual, that they can't be seen as the same as the congregation, and they like choose to wear that. And one of the things that like I've experienced people that have like had a spiritual impact on me that kind of come in like I'm like all of this. So one of the things that I've done with my 6th and 7th grade girls is we're here to learn, and I don't know everything. My co-leader doesn't know everything. We're coming at you this from like what we've studied, and we want to hear your thoughts too. Like I'm not greater than you, and this is like a brotherhood and sisterhood that we have, and we're supposed to like have that kind of relationship. So like that's my experience with it, of just like I understand that. You? Also, 70% with depression That's large.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And it says battles depression. It doesn't mean they have it, but it means that they have to be intentional in taking steps to not have that in their life. And I mean, the first church I pastored, it was a nice, first country church in the middle of north central Ohio, and surrounded by cornfields and good people. And, but I was hoping to, I felt like the Lord had called me into ministry to see amazing things happen. And I wasn't seeing anything amazing happen. And I was really frustrated. Really, I'd been there maybe a year, and I just was not seeing any progress. The congregation wasn't growing. I wasn't seeing people come to the Lord. I wasn't seeing people grow in their faith. I wasn't seeing, right? Now, keep in mind, I grew up in construction. My dad's a general contractor. So I grew up in a home where you could see
development,
what you had invested in, right? You could see the fruit of your labor. You could drive by a field, or you could drive by, a place that there was a field and now there's a building. There was, that was a Thai restaurant and now it's a U.S. bank or something like that. Like you could physically identify the changes that were taking place. And so in my mind, I had attributed progress with being able to see tangible results, which arguably is what most people's vocations provide them, right? Not every vocation, but most vocations. I start the day, I do this thing, and at the end of the day, there's this thing, or at the end of the week or month or quarter or whatever it is, there's a tangible result. And ministry, you don't have that. And so I called a mentor of mine. He was a professor of mine in Bible college, Reverend Tom Lorimer, huge, massive influence on me as a Bible college student, particularly those first early years of ministry, where I reached out to him quite a bit. And he said, Milo, you got to remember, people are never done. So as a result, you need to find a hobby where you can finish something. And so that's when I was like, I need to do woodworking, or I need to do something with my hands that I could start a project and then finish it. I could start it and I could finish it. So I share that to say, not every minister battles those issues, but like that is the way I maintain mental health. So why is it? So this
home development.
Yeah. Like we have not flipped, but we've like renovated 2 homes. We've, always improved our outdoor spaces. We've, every home we've lived in has been repainted on the inside, like
some form of development.
Yeah, like I got into coffee roasting, which today's coffee we're drinking Poor Chap's coffee, thanks to
good.
Mark McCraney, and I ground it down a little bit more, Mark. So you'd be proud of this. So anyway, but like I learned to roast coffee for a period of time because I could start with a raw bean and end up with a roasted bean. I've done model making. I really enjoy that, where I build these like intricate, detailed models. Like I do these things, so I don't lose my mind. And every minister needs to step into whatever that is. Okay, so next. What else do we got?
Self-doubt and imposter syndrome. So pastors often feel unworthy or fraudulent despite competence. So prevalence, similar to general population, which is 70%, but intensified by ministry pressures. And the causes could be unrealistic expectations, theological insecurity, perfectionism often drives burnout and low self-worth.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell the dog story. So I was pastoring this church, and there was this group of ladies that had a quote unquote midweek prayer meeting at 10. I think it was like 10 in the morning. And
like once a week.
And I had heard about this. Yeah. And they were like, Pastor, we're going to, you're welcome to join. I was like, well, yeah, just let me know when. And every week they would say like, you're welcome to join. And anytime I pressed for details, they would always say like, well, maybe next week. Well, maybe next. They were always like invite, but then uninvite. And so finally there was this week, they're like, they invited me. So I'm driving to this home because it was in this lady's home, and it was at her kitchen dining room table. And I I get to the house, and I'm, there's like a little gate, like a waist high gate outside, like a picket fence type thing. And I come in, and this dog out of nowhere, this little tiny dog, comes running out at me, and is just, yapping up a storm. And the lady who's hosting this prayer meeting, her youngest son, who's, I don't know, 13 or so, comes around the corner, and he goes, "Milo, come here. Milo, come here." And I'm looking at him, and he sees me, and he goes, "Oh, hey." And I was like, "Hey, is your mom here?" And he's like, yeah, she's inside with the ladies. Are you here for the prayer meeting? I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay." So I'm walking up, and so I walk on the front porch, and the dog's like trailing behind me, and he's picking up the dog. And I said, "What's the dog's name?" And he goes, "Well, we named the dog Milo." And I said, "Well, why'd you name the dog Milo?" And he goes, "Because Mom says he's a little." So I walk in to this prayer meeting knowing this. And when I came in, the ladies are there, and I was like, "Hey, we're talking." And I looked at the hostess, and I said, "I met your dog." And she had this look of like, "Uh-oh." I was like, "Yeah, I heard you named him Milo." "Oh, yeah. He's so cute and adorable and cuddly." And I was like, "Okay, sure." My point is this. How do you think that contributed to the doubt I felt as a pastor?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty severely. Like, I was like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
Like, what the work I'm doing, the effort I'm putting in. At the time, I'm pastoring full time. I'm going to seminary as well. I got a young bride. I'm learning how to be a husband. I have all of these expectations. And it was 3 ladies sitting around a table smoking cigarettes. And it turned out the prayer meeting was mostly a gossip session. And so the amount of self-doubt, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, it was pervasive. Pervasive. So, okay, next. I don't want this to be, okay, we're going to get to some encouraging stuff here. But I really want people to go, this is stuff, I guarantee if you know a minister, they have their own stories.
Yeah.
And this is stuff that they've wrestled with. And they've had to wrestle through. And there's things that are some of it is the nature of the work, and some of it is exacerbated. The problems are exacerbated because of people's insensitivity and, in some measure, cruelty. Okay, next.
Family and marriage struggles. So ministry demands a strain on families. So marriage, particularly, 77% feel their marriage is poor, and 41% have anger issues at home. And these are pastors, right?
Yes, these are ministers.
This is not like the congregation that he's dealing with.
No.
This is, yeah. Family impact. 80% say ministry hurts family life, and 33% call it hazardous. And the workload, most work 55 to 75 hours weekly, missing family time and events.
So I'd be curious to know from you, do you see our family in these statistics?
Like when growing up, during the church plan, I really don't remember much of that. And that probably demanded a certain level of time weekly you were away. When we moved to Oregon, you work on pretty long hours, and you always had something going on. But I think you and Mom knew what kind of marriage you wanted and knew your guys' own convictions and knew that, like, this is going to put a strain on our family and our marriage, but if this is what God has called us to do, then we're going to steward it right. And you don't let that, you take responsibility for that. And so I've never ever really thought my parents ever had a moment of like, I hope they don't divorce. Like, it was just never a thought.
Yeah.
But like, I guess like being a chaplain, it calls for different responsibilities, and sure, you're going to be deployed. Like, that's not new, but like, it was nice living on base, because then like my neighbor's dad could be also deployed for like a different reason. So it was like a communal experience. But I definitely like can see that could have 77% of people feel that their marriage is poor. So yeah, that's just like from mine. I think you and mom have done a really good job of how do we keep this healthy despite what we're going through and despite how we feel towards each other. So
yeah, we've been fortunate because we were it's not my news to share, but our family has struggled, or like our extended family. This has been part of the family story of marriages struggling and things like that. So your mom and I have been very diligent to be mindful of where where boundaries need to exist to make all of these things happen. And it's not to say there aren't long hours, and it's not to say we haven't had our marital issues, but we've also been in a place where we've been quick to invite other people into the conversation to help kind of mentor and guide us. I remember one time we were newly married, pastoring a church, and I was working really long hours, and your mom kept like, you need to take a break. You need to take a day of just like no ministry, no church, just around the house. We go on a date, whatever it is. And I didn't know how to do that. Like so we sat down with this couple, and the Vermillions. They're just Dr. and Mrs. Vermillion, just beautiful people. And he's still alive. She's since passed away. But they were like, how are you guys doing? And your mom just like laid it all out, which she is prone to do, which is great. Like, that's kind of an agreement we have in our marriage, is that we are never going to hide issues in our marriage from those that could speak into our marriage. So she laid it all out. He's not taking a break. We're not going out on dates. She goes all through that stuff. And Dr. Vermillion, Bill Vermillion, he looks at me and he goes, well, Milo, where's this coming from? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I'm a minister not because I have a job. I'm a minister because the Lord saved me. And I don't know how to turn that off. And I grew up in a great home. Mom was church secretary. Dad was head trustee. And so all of our hobby time as a family was spent at church. So we would go to church on Saturdays to rake leaves and clean things up. We would spend extra time at church on Sunday just because those were the people that we enjoyed being around. So like all of our free time, not all of it, but a significant amount of our free time was spent at church. So as a minister, I don't know how to not spend my free time not at church, because those are the people that I want to be around, but it's also now people that I have an obligation for and I have responsibilities to. And so I was like, I'm struggling with how to do that. Like, I don't know how to turn that off. And Mrs. Vermillion, Diana Vermillion, she looks at me and she said, Milo, it's not a day off from ministry. It's a day on to your family exclusively. And I thought that was really that was the framing I needed to hear that. So that was a massive, massive blessing. Okay, I can't tell stories in all of these, or else we're gonna.
Right.
Sorry, I keep going down memory lane, and most of these I didn't even think about until we sat down. So
it's okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Next.
So family, marriage struggles. Next,
moral failure and sexual struggles.
Yeah.
So temptation and lack of accountability remain serious issues. 50% admit to pornography use and 37 report inappropriate behavior. Accountability, half lacked a trusted group or mentor, and they wrestle with shame, guilt, and secrecy that also foster spiritual and emotional distress.
What'd you think about that when you read that?
So I got to this point, I'm like, oh, this just like must be talking about like the congregation. And then I like did more. And I was like, that's high.
Yeah,
that's high.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
No?
Nope. It doesn't surprise me at all. your mom and I have been fortunate, like, and I'm not saying I haven't been above my own temptations and I haven't sinned and things like that, but we've been able to have like high levels of accountability. And before things ever became a systemic problem, like that was always held at bay. But I have friends of mine that are no longer in the ministry because of this stuff. And I mean, and I don't mean like casual friends or people I kind of know, like people, I know the intimate details of what took place and the devastation it brought to their families, how in a few cases it destroyed their families, affairs, significant pornography use, soliciting prostitution. Like I could go down like not small things. Yeah. So this is a problem. And usually these things take place. I mean, I know we got a few other things we're going to talk about, but it's not like everything else is fine and this is an issue. It's usually there's a bunch of this other stuff going on, and it opens the door for these things to take place. Next,
financial stress. So pastors face significant financial insecurity. So 70% feel underpaid or experience low pay. Many spouses say income is insufficient. They wrestle with poverty. Some rely on food stamps, retirement savings. Their retirement savings are then minimal. They have future anxiety. Many face retirement without savings or adequate insurance. And you have a story.
Well, we'd been there. Yeah. First Church was a good country church, and we weren't paid a lot, but we could pay the bills. And we had a parsonage, so we didn't have, mortgage or rent or anything like that. So that was all good. But it's not like we've always been fortunate, but there has been times when I didn't know how we were going to pay bills, and the Lord always provided. And we are grateful for that. But like, this is
a reality.
This is a reality, and we've felt that reality. We're not in that reality now. Like the Lord Lord's given us a lot of wisdom and counsel and things like that we're in a financially good place right now. But like, there's a lot of ministers I know that are not in that situation. And some of it is, well, anyway, if you're underpaying your minister, if you do not know how your minister is paid, you might not know the amount, but if you do not have a handle on how those decisions are made, I encourage you to look into that. Because as a congregant, you should be looking into how those decisions are made to ensure that your minister is being adequately paid to take care of his family or her family. Okay, next.
Substance abuse. So awareness, 94% see addiction as a major issue, but only 12.5% have training to combat that.
So what that means is,
it could be any addiction.
Well, yeah. So they see addiction within their congregation, right? So they see this is a major issue within the life of our church, but only 12.5% have the training to be able to address it.
I see. And then personal struggles. Some pastors battle addiction privately, silenced by stigma.
Yeah, and that could be anything from alcohol to tobacco to and one thing I see with a lot of ministers, and I'm not going to be very, I'm not going to get any popularity points for saying this. They are addicted to poor nutrition. There is a lot of ministers out there that are using food as a way to comfort themselves in ways that are unhealthy. And as a result, there are, you see a lot of obesity among ministers and not eating healthy and poor exercise. And I'm not saying I'm the guy that's I'm not the fittest I could possibly be either, right? So, but I just know there's kind of two things I see oftentimes with ministers is let's just talk about food, right? Because it's the one nobody really wants to talk about.
Yeah.
It's easy to kind of go like, oh, alcohol, yeah, that's bad. Or, oh, yeah, tobacco, that's bad. Or, oh, yeah, whatever, right? But I think, ministers, you're just moving from so fast that you'll just eat whatever's available to you. So driving, eating junk food or, as a minister, you're like, I ate out with people all the time. when I was on the civilian side all the time, meeting folks for breakfast, for coffee, for lunch, and then come home. And sometimes as a couple, your mom and I would go out with another couple. So you're not eating healthy. Or when you do come home, are you just eating what's quick and what's available and things like that? And it just leads to very poor dietary practices, which compromise an individual's physical health. And sometimes it's driven by like a pace of life and poor decisions amidst that pace. And sometimes it's driven by like just eating a bunch of junk that you shouldn't be eating. This is not a good, healthy thing for you to do. That is regardless of how fat or skinny you are. Right? Like I just want to take that off the table because I see some folks that are incredibly skinny and they are eating very poor, and that is still not healthy, right? Yeah. They're using poor eating habits as a way to soothe or comfort areas in their life that need to be dealt with. Okay, the last one, and then we're going to get to some encouraging stuff, hopefully.
Secondary trauma and compassion fatigue. So constant exposure to suffering takes a toll. So walking with grieving congregants leads to emotional exhaustion. There's boundaries like lack of rest and constant availability cause compassion fatigue and burnout. Yeah.
And so with that, I'll give you an example of how that fatigue can take place. Because sometimes fatigue happens because of the extremes that people live in, right? So I'll give you an example of this. One Sunday at a church I was pastoring, it's baptism Sunday. So everybody's excited, right? We're baptizing a dozen people or something. And super exciting. We got the baptismal pool set up and services going. And there's a couple I had been working with. And the husband comes in and he looks at me and says, "Can we talk with you?" I was like, "Yeah." Things had been rough for them. So we go to my office, sit down, and the husband looks at his wife and says, "Okay, I want to tell you this with the pastor here. I'm leaving you. I'm divorcing you. I'm done trying. I'm done dealing with all of this. I've already talked to my buddy, and I'm moving in with him today. Do you have any questions?" And she's like, "I've got all kinds of questions." He's like, "Okay, well, I want you to ask them with the pastor here because I'm not going to talk to you alone about this stuff." And I'm sitting here going, what have I stepped into? Like, things were rough, and in some regards, I wasn't surprised that this had happened. But, like, what are we doing right now? This is
not the time.
So here I am with this couple whose marriage is literally unraveling in front of me. Okay? Knock on the door. And I look, because there's a little window light, and I look, and somebody's motioning for me to me. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, "Hey, you were up for baptisms." I was like, okay. So there was another one of our pastors. It was a female pastor or a women's pastor. And I said, "Hey, can you sit with them?" Because she kind of was tracking the situation. She had been working with the wife. She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Just sit with them. I'm going to go into the service." So I head into the service. And when I get over there, now I've got to be celebratory.
Yeah.
And I genuinely am excited about I think I was baptizing 3 people that day. Like the 3 people that I had the chance, I was on a multi-staff team. So we all kind of had different folks we were baptizing, and I get to baptize these folks today. And I'm excited, so I'm, praise the Lord, and people are sharing their testimonies and people are clapping and there's all of this celebration going on. Meanwhile, I'm thinking about this couple that's back here while also thinking about how exciting it is that this person's declaring their faith in Christ. So there's this constant swing.
Yeah.
I mean, in a hospital, I've literally gone from one floor where a family member was dying, gone down the elevator, walked across the hall, or gone into another wing, gone up the elevator again to another wing of the hospital where a couple is celebrating the birth of their child. And so there's just this constant swing that ministers live within, if they're doing good ministry.
Yeah.
They will be constantly exposed to this swing in life. And that just leads to being wore out, being exhausted. And who are you going to tell?
Right.
Because when I was sitting with that couple that was getting, their marriage was unraveling, I'm not going to look at them and be like, hey, this is really sad. But today's a celebration. Why don't we press pause on this? Let's go into the service and get excited because that's not where they're at. I got to meet them where they're at. Mm-hmm. And I can't go into the other service and say like, hey, y'all, we really need to tone it down because, there's a lot of hard things going on in our congregation. Like this couple whose marriage is like, that's completely inappropriate.
Right.
So ministers just carry
all of that.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, when I would come home, you could tell there was things I brought home, mm-hmm. right? I didn't know you could tell that.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, right? But those are the realities they live with. Okay, so really quick, can we kind of recap this stuff?
Sure. First one.
Loneliness and isolation.
Mm-hmm. Criticism and rejection.
Depression and mental health.
Self-doubt and imposter syndrome.
Family and marriage struggles.
Moral failure and sexual struggles.
Financial struggles.
Substance abuse.
And then secondary trauma and compassion fatigue.
So, a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we do with all this?
Right. What's our response?
Okay, number 1. You want to read the verse there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's 1 Thessalonians 5:12-13. And it says, we ask you, brothers, to respect those who labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you and esteem them very highly in love because of their work. So this point.
Yeah, this is what I encourage. So I'm going to tell you what I hope you will do for your minister, whether that's a priest or a pastor or a reverend or a chaplain. You got to be careful with some of these with a chaplain, right? Because there's clear boundaries we have to maintain. But one is this. Everybody can do this. Eagerly. So I'm putting adjectives in front of this stuff. I want you to eagerly demonstrate respect by speaking well of this person to others and write them a note regarding the impact they are having on you. Mm-hmm. I still have notes. There's one in particular when we were going over this that I have that was written by somebody whose opinion is not small. And they wrote me a note saying, hey, this is the kind of ministry impact you've had in my life. And it is a massive source of encouragement to me. Because more often than not, people will be quick to be very specific with their disappointments and very general with their praise. Mm-hmm. People will be, in fact, I remember one time there was this lady in our church and she always had a sour look on her face. And no matter what I said or no matter how I engaged her, whatever attitude I brought to her, whether I was like serious or I was happy or I was joyful, I experimented with all kinds of different postures. Her engagement with me was generally, not always, but like 90% of the time, one that seemed to carry a consistent posture of disappointment with me. That was how I interpreted her posture towards me. However, she constantly praised the minister that had preceded me. Constantly. And I'd been a pastor there for, 6-7 months. And I ran into the former minister who actually became a friend. And I was like, hey, got some question for you. And he's like, yeah. I said, so-and-so. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, how were they with you when you were here? Because right now, you are the best pastor they have ever had in their life. And he goes, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, no. And he's like, there wasn't anything I could do to please that person. They always had a look at, they were always sour towards me. They always seemed to carry some measure of disdain and disappointment with them. Everything he experienced is what I was experiencing. So my point is, take the time to speak well of your minister and be a source of encouragement to them. This is not complicated stuff.
Yeah.
And don't do hey, you're doing a great job.
But.
Or, hey, well, I'm only going to do this on we're talking about this in October because Pastor Appreciation Month. But like in general, like these are some things that you can do. And speak well of them in front of other people, to other people, with them there. Like, hey, this is Pastor So. Let me tell you what I love about this person's ministry. And just share that. Just brag on them. You will do more for their soul in that moment than you can possibly imagine. Now, I guarantee that minister is going to feel a bit awkward about that because it's so uncommon. Most don't know what to do with it. So, eagerly demonstrate respect by speaking well of them to others and write them a note regarding the impact that they have had on you. Okay. Second
comes from Hebrews 13:7 and 17 through 18. And it says, remember your leaders, those who spoke the word of God to you. Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they are keeping and watching over your souls as those who will have to give an account. Pray for us. So
here, prayerfully discern ways to support your minister by paying attention to the concerns that they carry. I am mindful, and any minister that's worth his salt, I am mindful that there is going to come a day when I'm going to have to stand before the Lord and give an account for how I've lived out this calling. And I think it's a calling. Like if anybody volunteers to do this job because they think it's easy, they are not long for ministry. I've been doing this now for 26 years. Right. And so I'm doing this because it's what the Lord has told me to do. And there's been a few times that I've tried some other things. The Lord has given me an opportunity to go out, and I was a marketing director for a construction company one time. And I realized that is not what I need to be doing with my life. It was a great opportunity. It was a break after that church plant had closed. And so I needed some time to reconnect with the family and kind of heal up in some areas spiritually. But then I went right back into it. Right? Prayerfully discern ways you can support your minister. And I just don't mean like, think of good ideas. Sit down with the Lord and ask him, how should I be supporting this minister? And then pay attention to the concerns that minister carries. Don't pay attention to the concerns you carry. Got it. You know what those are.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what are the concerns that they carry, what is weighing them down. And some of those things they can't tell you because of it would expose other people's issues, and that's not something they can do. But they will have the language. If somebody came to me when I was wrestling with, a divorce in one room and baptisms in the other room, and they're like, hey, what are the concerns you carry? And I'd say the concerns I carry today is that we have a church that is filled with people that are on fire for God and desperately hurting. And how do we love well across all of that? That's the concern I carry. Because I think sometimes we either focus on one at the expense of the other. And I don't know how to do that well. So give your ministers the opportunity to express their concerns. Okay. Yeah. Third
comes from Galatians 6:6-9. It says, let the one who is taught the word share all good things with the one who teaches, and let us not grow weary of doing good.
So it says here, share all good things with the one who teaches. So if the Lord has blessed you, share with them.
Yeah.
So I'm putting here, and you're going to see this in the notes when you look them up. Generously share God's blessing in your life. Connect it to the investment that this minister is making in your spiritual growth. So if you are, let's say you have a business and God is blessing that business and you're part of this church, let the minister know, hey, your spiritual guidance in my life, your preaching on Sunday and the counsel you've provided and the environment you are leading for me to connect with other ministers and grow spiritually is affording me the growth to wisely steward this business I'm a part of, or be part of this, effort within the life of our community, or whatever it is, and share it with them.
Yeah.
And it could be like, and this is where, as chaplains, don't give any chaplain anything, right? Because that's there's a hard line because of government regulations and things like that. But if you have a minister that's on the civilian side, give them a gift that will bless that family. Like, hey, you know what? Here's $100 in DoorDash for you guys to go to whatever restaurant you are. Here's a gift card to this restaurant. Go take your wife out on a date. We love you guys. Hey, here's some gift cards to Walmart for you to take your kids out to get whatever toys they want for them. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Like, just love them well. Because if you've been blessed, share that blessing. But I don't think most people, and this is something that I don't think most people connect those dots.
Yeah.
That God's blessing in my life, I'm part of this church and it's been part of my spiritual formation. And then I'm part of this, business or this effort outside of the faith community. And I'm doing these things and God's blessing over here. And we usually go like, okay, well, how do I do that? Okay, don't forget the leaders that have been part of your spiritual formation that has given you the fortitude and the wisdom and the sense of prudence to be able to do those things. Mm-hmm. Don't forget about expressing gratitude and sharing, as the scripture says here. Mm. Share all good things with the one who's been teaching you. Anyway. If you want more ideas, you can literally Google ideas for appreciating my pastor, and you will be taken to so many websites that will give you so many different ideas and demonstrate appreciation in a manner that will connect with the minister, not based upon what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's what I would encourage you to do. Look over the lists that you find and go, all right, what here will connect with them? Are they, because, we 5 love languages, some people are physical touch, others are gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, and acts of service, right? Those are the 5 love languages. And so figure out ways that you can connect with those folks so that they know that they are loved, that they are appreciated. This work is not easy. It is exhausting. It is because it is spiritual in nature. It has an eternal impact. And if a minister is doing the work that God has called him to do, there is a spiritual warfare that is taking place that is incredibly difficult. And there are innumerable distractions and in innumerable ways that they are exhausted, that are very difficult to quantify unless you are actually in it. I'll never forget, there was one night, so we had planted the church in Indiana, that had shut down, and then I went to work for my dad in his general contracting company, your grandfather. And I did that for a year and a half, and then I came on staff at Grace Chapel Church, where I was like the executive pastor of development and formation. And you kids have always been really good. You kids have, when you're sick, you're not, you just, you get fevers, you're not throw uppy kids or anything like that. Saturday night, before it's being announced that we are coming on staff at this church, that I will go from a guy who attended the church, because we had been participating in the church for a year and a half. I go from Milo to the next day I'm going to be Pastor Milo. The night before all of that, your brother comes to our bedroom at 2 a.m. and goes, "Mom, Dad," and we're like, "What's up, buddy?" And he crawls up onto the bed with us and he goes, "I don't feel good."
What?
Whoa! Just throws up all over the bed. And it's like, "Oh, buddy, okay." And he was fine when we put him to bed. After that, he was fine. And we went and got him cleaned up, got him to bed. Then we have to change our sheets, start laundry, right? There's all this other, and it's the night before we're stepping back into ministry. And I looked at your mom, and I looked at her, and I was like, and we're back in it. Because I believe in my soul that was a spiritual attack. That there was something that was troubling your brother to make, that caused him to not feel well. He came to his parents for support and just lost his cookies all over us. And there was no reason for it. Zero. So I believe it was a spiritual attack. Your minister is under constant spiritual attack, trying to discourage, trying to dissuade, trying to keep him or her from being the person they need to be to ensure that your soul, that you experience the truth and the love and the grace and the peace that God has for you, honor that person and honor them well. All right.
So good. So good.
Okay. Ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay. Wrap us up.
Okay, guys. I hope you guys take something. I actually hope that each of you guys do something for your spiritual leader or your minister.
Week. Do something this week.
Yeah.
Do something every month.
Yeah. Something super thoughtful. And do something that you would like to receive or that you have received that you think left a really great impression and pass that on. Do something thoughtful. So,
can I tweak that?
Yeah, tweak
Don't do something you would like. Do something they would like.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
Okay, yeah. That's even better. You guys can rate, follow, review this podcast. By doing that, you help us out. You can follow. I said that. Yeah. I said the same thing.
Yep.
Okay. Have a great week, everyone.
Yeah, rate, follow, review. We're on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
You can sign up for our newsletter, as we said.
We have show notes.
thisresilientsoul.com. If you go there, you'll see a place to sign up for the newsletter. You can download the show notes with all of this information. Case in point, I don't know if you noticed, but my phone went off during this podcast. I noticed it on my phone or on my watch. It was somebody trying to get a hold of me because they're struggling with something right now. This is the point. Ministers are always on call, even when they're doing a podcast. Yes. So be a source of encouragement. You can get all of this information by visiting that and then, get some folks together. Do something yourself, but also maybe grab one or two friends. So what can we do for our minister to be a support and encouragement to him? We want to be a support and encouragement to you guys by you guys leaving us notes and messages and reviews and sharing this kind of stuff. It helps us know what's resonating, what's connecting. So it's not a small thing when you do that. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. We pray that you guys go with God
and be at peace.